Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dare to Be Mean. My name is Socorro. I hope you enjoy my my little spit today. um, I want to start out by saying how all this came about. So a few years ago, I was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, and being an athletic person most of my life, and basically single, I it sort of turned my world upside down. I, for the first time, wasn't able to support myself, and I was always very proud of that. That was something that nobody could take away from me. I'm a hard worker. I love to work. I've always had more than two jobs, and hustling here and there, single parents, what we have to do. But so when I got spinal stenosis, I was told that I was gonna, if I didn't have surgery in my neck, that I would end up being quadriplegic. And when the doctor told me that, I sort of kind of laughed, like, like I'm strong. I'm good. Like, what's he talking about? Well, I hadn't got my symptoms yet, but basically, the my C4, C5 in my neck didn't have no cushion, so my bone was just on my bone on my neck, and every time I turned around for a while, I mean, you could just hear the where my bones were grinding against each other. So after my arm I had went limp one day, I ended up going to emergency, and was referred to a doctor, and that's when I found out that I needed surgery. So so this brought on a lot of things. At the time, I was living at home with my mother. I had left my boyfriend like the year before, but basically, I was just up doing my own thing. I I was a drug addict. I had been in and out of jail, in prison, um, and that's not it. All it's not all bad. I taught karate for some like almost 8 years of my life, and I was in the Chamber of Commerce. I was a foster parent, all before an incident happened, which made me sort of kind of I flipped into another person, sort of kind of, you know. I had been raped, and after my rape, I didn't remember the rape. I had repressed memories, so, but I I turned into another person at that time. I never used to drink or party, and I was really against drugs. And all of a sudden, I started drinking and partying. At that time, I was leaving my older kid's dad, so I always felt that the whole trauma of he took my kids away from me and stuff. So I thought the whole trauma of being away from my kids was what made me reach out to self-medicate. Until years later, when I would remember my rape. So at this time when I got sick, I had been on drugs already for a good amount of 30 years, you know, and the lifestyle that came along with it, I that was one of my hustles, selling drugs because, you get drugs for free, whatever, but that ended me up that later after I left my older kid's dad, 10 years later, I would have two other children, you know, and so so during this time, I'm on drugs or whatever, and anyway, so I was thinking one day, because I didn't get along with my family because of my using or what, my lifestyle. Um, I was thinking like, what am I doing here? I'm here at mom's. I'm 50 something years old. And why am I here? If I could make it when I moved out at 16, pregnant, my senior year, you know, why was I still living with mom, you know? So, I wanted my life to change, so I packed up and I went homeless because I figured that that was the only way that I was going to push myself to, you know, fend for me, you know, rent was getting outrageous and I couldn't afford my own place, without a roommate, and everybody I knew was on drugs. So basically, I didn't trust anybody to pull their weight. So I was kind of complacent living with mom, So I went out. So I packed up my car, and I went homeless, and it was very lonely, long, and traumatizing. I would always leave for a month or two, go visit this friend or go visit that friend or stay with my boyfriend or stay with the next boyfriend, or, I always had basically somewhere to stay, but I never went out and stayed in a tent, and, to fend for myself, basically. So this was a real test for me, and so at this time is when I found out that I was sick, and I didn't tell my family for a long time, but I tried sharing, what was going on, but at the time, like nobody really cared, I remember when I was trying to eat, like I would eat in front of my mom or in front of my kids, and I couldn't bring the spoon to my mouth because my arm was getting to where I couldn't control it. And pretty soon I would get to where I couldn't walk and write, couldn't comb my hair, put on makeup. And I lived in fear. I was engulfed in fear. All my life I had depended on me to support myself. And what was I going to do? How was I going to live? Nobody wants to support somebody else, and so I was in fear, and this is when I started my journey, so. I know some people don't have compassion for people who are homeless, but if you knew what it took when you don't have a shower, you don't have a kitchen to cook, to clean and this and that, and I think some people, never wanted to work, whatever. Some people are out there by choice, but a lot of people aren't, So I'm going to stop right there, but I want to just say that, all it takes is a smile. How are you doing today? To boost somebody's depression, to make somebody feel like they're alive, that they deserve, that somebody acknowledges them. But thank you very much for joining me, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.